A lot of people have been asking me whether Naruto and Sasuke were ever going to come back, and if they did, would they play a decent role into the story. And while doing the research for this video, I was mostly on the stance that this could not happen. However, after completing my research, Naruto and Sasuke coming back is not that crazy of an idea as most of us are thinking. As in fact, there is a lot of evidence to point that they might come back and be even stronger than we have seen them before. And when we're comparing the versions as to what we're talking about, I'm not talking about Prime Naruto and Prime Sasuke. I'm talking about Naruto and Sasuke after they got nerfed, not in their prime. I believe that Naruto and Sasuke will come back a little bit stronger than their nerfed selves after the death of Kurama and after Sasuke ended up losing his Rinnegan. Because the main purpose as to why Sasuke and Naruto were basically written out of the story and nerfed was due to the fact that we needed to have Boruto and Kawaki step up and have a chance to shine. Those were the main characters of the series, essentially what was going to be the driving force of the series. It was not going to be Naruto and Sasuke, it was going to be Kawaki and Boruto. So, for the writing to make sense where Naruto and Sasuke were not the ones who would always come to save the day, and there'd actually be some tension in the story, Naruto and Sasuke were nerfed and essentially written out, with each of them being sealed in some way, shape, or form. We have with Naruto, who everybody believes to be dead, but he is sealed by Kawaki in the Daiko Code and Dimension. And Sasuke, who everybody believes left the village alongside Boruto, a traitor, has now been sealed as a tree. And we have a Hidari who has come to be due to his influence due to the Soren Thor and essentially the creation of the Senju. So basically, with Naruto and Sasuke being written out of the story, and Boruto and Kawaki, who have grown so much as characters in the time skip so far, they have essentially taken care of the main reason why Naruto and Sasuke were taken out. Boruto and Kawaki have essentially surpassed Naruto and Sasuke, so the influence that Naruto and Sasuke will have in the series will obviously be less than Boruto and Kawaki. And for those who simply don't believe it, we have a Boruto who quite early on in the story has already established this fact that he is stronger than Naruto and Sasuke, and that is through his performance versus the likes of Code. Through this character who is stronger than Jigen, somebody who we have seen be able to beat the likes of Naruto and Sasuke, no problem in their primes, and I'm not talking about Baryon mode. We saw the likes of Jigen be able to do that, and Code, who is stated to greatly surpass Jigen, and this has been confirmed by somebody like Damien, who is stronger than all of them. Boruto being able to defeat such a foe in quite short time does prove that he is stronger than both Prime Naruto and Sasuke. And there is a lot of information to prove that he would easily be able to take care of Naruto and Sasuke in their primes. This is clearly not mentioning Baryon or Naruto, as I still have my gripes on whether Boruto surpassed Baryon or Naruto at this point in the series. It could be the case, but I don't believe we have sufficient feats to end up proving this fact. However, what can be proven so far is that Boruto has surpassed the likes of Naruto and Sasuke in their prime. So the reason why they would be written out of the story for being too strong is no longer a valid reason for having Naruto and Sasuke be taken out. So when it comes to the narrative reasons why Naruto and Sasuke can't be active in the story, this part has already been removed. And now let's talk about reasons and hints as to why Naruto and Sasuke could end up coming back. And we're talking about hints. Let's first start off with Sasuke and him potentially returning, as actually we already have a lot of hints when it comes to that. The first thing that we have to talk about is Hidari, and his entire character arc, his entire journey as a Senju is about him figuring out who he is. We have already seen different gripes when it comes to various other characters. When it comes to Jira, it deals a lot with understanding the world around him due to his curiosity. However, when it comes to Hidari, it is quite the opposite. Instead of trying to figure out the world around him, he is trying to figure out who he is as an entity and as a member of the Senju. He has been constantly posing questions, and one of the quotes he says to Sarada is he is trying to figure out who he is by devouring her. And we have already seen the questions that Hidari has been asking Jura has dealt a lot about him. The first question he asked Jura was, "Who are we? What exactly are we as the Senju?" Jura told him that he should not worry about this. That we later on hear Hidari tell us that he asked Jura is about the Sharingan, is about this Chidori power that needs the Sharingan in order to be able to use it at maximum power. So the whole character journey of Hidari is figuring out who he is, and who he is at the end of the day is Sasuke, obviously influenced by the Ten Tails. So that is basically hinting to us that the end of Hidari's character journey is figuring out that he is actually Sasuke. Now, when we take a look at Sasuke himself, there are already hints looking at him in this tree formation that already tell us that he is going to come back stronger. And that is the fact that all of his injured parts of his body are being covered by the tree who could essentially restore those damaged parts of his body, being his arm and his eye that Borushiki ended up taking out. So if Sasuke is brought back using the Sword Thorn, this is a fact that has occurred in one of the future realities that Kashin Koji saw, which is how he knew that the Sword Thorn would bring someone back. Maybe it wasn't necessarily Sasuke that they brought back, but at least we have a clear method of bringing Sasuke back, and we have a bit of justification that hints towards us believing that Sasuke could come back with his missing eye, and also come back with a new arm due to the influence that the tree could have on Sasuke himself. And since plugging back that Sword Thorn into Sasuke could end up potentially giving him a bit of Ten Tails DNA, reinforcing the fact that the Rinnegan would be something that we should expect to come back from Sasuke at minimum, which would essentially make Sasuke come back a lot stronger than before. However, moving on to Naruto, this is where a lot of people believe that things have become unclear. However, if you even check the mythology of the place in which Naruto is in, you would simply see that Naruto also coming back stronger is quite possible. Do I think, and to preface with this entire theory, this is essentially justification to prove the force as to why this theory could be true of Sasuke and Naruto coming back. Obviously, there are arguments to go around this, and this is why it is simply a theory, and me not tell you that this is going to happen and that's going to happen. So obviously, let me know your opinion as to Naruto and Sasuke actually coming back, whether you believe this is true or not, but me, I am kind of indifferent. After doing the research, I really see it as possible, but do I want it to happen and do I think it will? I am quite undecided on the matter. But continuing on to the hints given to us that Naruto could end up coming back, first have to look at the mythology surrounding the place in which Naruto has been placed upon. And when coming to discuss that, we have to discuss the mythology of the Daikokoden. So through various different sources and things that have been analyzed, you could see that the Daikokoden is heavily associated with destruction and rebirth, treasure and hidden wealth. When it comes to this meditation part of the Daikokoden, essentially explaining how gods use this power as a way to basically destroy themselves and come back as a method of meditation, we could see that meditation could definitely apply towards a character like Naruto who is in this story. The child of prophecy who Naruto is, and one of the descendants of Ashura, this godly being who is an Otsutsuki, obviously at the end of the day. But one thing that we have to note when it comes to Naruto is the fact that he possesses an ability that allows him to absorb energy around him. So now looking at the place in which Naruto is at, we could see that Naruto is essentially stuck in time, in a dimension where time doesn't flow, as quoted by Kawaki when explaining this ability to Boruto. He clearly said this to Boruto when they were about to fight in chapter 78, after Boruto figured out that Kawaki ended up sealing Naruto. So in that dimension, we clearly see that Boruto is unable to move, which is an important factor to keep in mind. So what I'm not going to do is explain the reasons as to why Naruto could be training well in this dimension where time doesn't flow, because this explanation is something that will be best explained by the likes of Ikimoto himself when it comes to it actually taking place. Because let's say Naruto is able to train. When there's a dimension where time doesn't flow, there are multiple paradoxes that can come into play. If Naruto is to train in that dimension, when would it take place? In our world, for things to be quantified or at least measured, we need to know when they took place, where they took place, and how much of it took place. And in this instance, we clearly can't know when this would exactly be able to take place. So a justification for a specific training is going to be one that is quite hard. However, the mere fact of him entering this dimension may play a role into him getting stronger, simply due to the fact that we are focusing on this part of the mythology that ends up hinting towards characters being able to use the Daikokoden as a source of meditation. And obviously, meditation in this instance would definitely represent in the Naruto and Boruto series a method of getting stronger, as we have seen with Boruto. So although the explanation could be quite hard to find without any sort of paradoxes, we could clearly see a justification from the likes of Ikimoto that probably we are not thinking about. But one thing that has to be said, that if Naruto is to get another power up, it will clearly follow this sun transformation that we have clearly seen with Naruto time after time. Naruto's transformation, especially those after he ended up taming Kurama and ended up dealing with this old version of himself. After he was able to conquer himself, his transformation matches with the sun. With KCM 1 and KCM 2 and all those versions of KCM, we can gradually see how the sun is expanding and becoming a bigger entity. When it comes to baryon mode, we see the sun reach a state of supernova. Now, the next stage of the sun often happens when the sun ends up running out of fuel, where it will either turn into a white dwarf or a black hole. Those are the two extents as to where Naruto could end up going. I've always loved the idea of Naruto going down this black hole path, and I've made a video about this way back before, but those are the two extents as to where it could go. When it comes to the path of a white dwarf star, which essentially happens after a star ends up exhausting its nuclear fuel, expanding into a red giant, shedding its outer layer to form a planetary nebula, leaving behind its dense hot core. The path I believe it will end up going is one where the energy in which Naruto was meditating in, or was gathering sage mode energy, or whatever sort of energy is emitted from this Daikokoden dimension that clearly has Otsutsuki ties, and at the bare minimum Ishiki ties, because it comes from Ishiki's dojutsu. We don't necessarily know if it is simply Ishiki's or potentially even Shibai's, as we have seen it on Shibai's eye, but maybe the energy that is emitted from this dimension, Naruto ends up having a specific amount of that energy to use after leaving that dimension, and after he uses that energy completely, he simply won't have it, giving him either this black hole like appearance where the energy is so much where it ends up collapsing upon itself and creating an even greater transformation, hence the title, or it is more like a white dwarf star, essentially act as the last piece of energy that Naruto essentially has. So with the black hole variation, we have a Naruto that essentially creates something unbeknown to this world, something that is quite crazy, a transformation that we have pretty much not seen. Or if it is the white dwarf path, we have a Naruto that essentially has power to use, and after that power slash chakra slash whatever energy it ends up being, after he ends up exhausting that power, he no longer has any more power to end up using. I don't think it will mean that Naruto no longer has the ability to use chakra. I think he will no longer have the ability to use the power or chakra that ends up coming from that dimension that he collected during the time in which he was stored. That's most likely the path in which I believe it will end up going. So those are essentially the two ways in which Naruto and Sasuke could end up coming back. However, when they do end up coming back, will they come back to a world without omnipotence or not? A world where Boruto ends up regaining what is his. To find out how possible that is, make sure to watch this video right here.